Hey, this is the Kubeflow Notebooks meeting for the 5th of June 2025. Uh, this meeting is mostly about Notebooks 2.0, which is the next version of Kubeflow Notebooks, but it also is about Notebooks 1.0 and the dashboard. I don't know what we're calling it, but the piece that is known as Central Dashboard, is it a component? Is it a project? Who knows? But what it is it's that piece is clearly some kind of piece that you use to make Kubeflow into a platform, but it's optional, I think. Anyway, TBD. Okay, but Notebooks 2.0 is the thing most people are here for. So if you're here for that, here's the FAQ. Here's what it is. It's a full rewrite. We've been working on it for many years, but we really started seriously doing it in the last 6 months. And it's going to be really cool. It's going to change the way people do GPU accelerated developer environments on Kubernetes. Cool. If you need to know more about it, go to the FAQ, share it with people, number 85 on Notebooks repo. If you have an interest in the roadmap, this is kind of what we're working towards, which is kind of user-driven outcome. Users in this case being both the end user and the what do you call it? And the developer who's using and the platform person. Okay, let's I won't go through all this, but effectively this is what we think the minimum required is for the first alpha release. Hopefully timed around KubeCon. If there's anyone new in the meeting who wants to say hi, we usually just give a chance to people to say hi. You can unmute yourself, or you can type in the chat. Otherwise, anyone new who wants to say hi? Cool. Okay. Editor. Oh, okay. Editor is adding something. Yeah. So this is an interesting discussion, though. It keeps coming up. It's yeah. The reason we haven't moved it in past is just because like this time does tend to work for most people, but it's interesting that if it doesn't work for Red Hat, that's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Like you're muted.
Yeah, it's one meeting that either myself or Harshad we need to attend, and we keep like ball one day we attend, we'll attend, and if we move like 1 hour earlier than before, we both can merge. And unfortunately, at Red Hat, this is the only meeting that's external from our team that we cannot move.
I'm not sure that we'll ever be able to move it an hour earlier because that will put it at 7 a.m. Pacific.
Okay, yeah,
But like that's probably too early for West Coast. And I imagine that, once we start getting
yep.
other Silicon Valley companies working on it, most of the engineers will probably be from Bay Area. So that would be way too early for them, I think.
Oh
But
yes, yep.
but like an hour later is also problematic because a lot of people start work at 9, you know what I mean? And so like usually the reason why we had 8 was because most people uh it's an hour before work. The only thing it hurts is that if people drive to work, obviously I don't like people taking the meeting from their car. It makes me uncomfortable because they might I worry about that. But other than that, I don't know, right? Like maybe part of the solution is just to make it an hour and a half meeting and have the 9 a.m. part of the meeting be available, like just because we always go for an hour and a half anyway. So it's maybe we should just explicitly make it an hour and a half and say the first hour is for engineers if they actually are working on tasks, and the last half an hour we can, I don't know, maybe we can think about how we structure it. But like maybe that's a simple solution because again, if we move it an hour later, all it's going to do is push it into like ridiculous times in the day that we end up going to if we go late, right? So um I don't know, right? You muted still.
No, it's whatever is best for the community, but it's either myself or Harshad who have to jump from call to call.
I know
Easily,
it's unfortunate. It is
yeah.
unfortunate, yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. Thursday, because the only other option is moving the day. We can't really move. I don't. I mean, the only other day would be like Monday at 8 a.m. You know what I mean, or something like that. But
That would work as well for us.
the issue with Monday is that it often ends up falling on a holiday. Um, but that's the reason why Tuesday at 8 a.m. is the best possible time, which is why the main Kubeflow meeting is at that time and has been for the past 7 years. but and then 8 a.m. Thursday was, and the reason we didn't do it on Wednesday for this meeting is because we didn't want to have two 8 a.m. meetings in a row, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like that's how we ended up. And then also Friday is also a day that people often take off. So like this is kind of where you end up kind of forced into this time. Uh, if you want to do it in the morning before, so that West Coast people can attend. So I don't know, right? Like I'm open to it. How big of a how likely is your meeting to continue forever?
Much like that.
Okay.
It's the only meeting in the week that I don't have power to move.
That's quite funny. How many, so is it
It's
just
because
about you
when
or is it other people from this
it's
team as
me
well?
and Harshad and Andy
I
that
see.
need to attend this meeting.
I see. That is unfortunate.
And yeah, and when we do like iteration, like today's Harshad attending, another day is myself Harshad attending, so we kind of take
Maybe if you
turns.
do rotate with threes, it would be fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure, but like,
Yeah, but it will
I,
be unfortunately be one of us left leaving the call if that's fine, you know.
I mean, at a certain point, like,
For instance, today's Harshad, Andy will represent Harshad, you know.
my
Like,
reason for not moving it is just simply that we can't move around Red Hat, if you know what I mean. Like, that's my main reason.
no, I
Like,
agree.
I would
It's
prefer
me.
that Red Hat bend rather than
It,
us.
I understand. It's just a fact that I cannot move because we can
Yeah,
move
I
everything
understand,
else.
and
Just
I
this one.
respect
Yeah.
that too. It's just like my hope is that Red Hat is like I don't want to move to facilitate. Like, I don't want to entrench the problem that I'm also trying to address, which is that I really want Apple
I
people to
agree.
attend. I want Google to people
Yeah.
to attend. I want other organizations to attend,
Yeah.
and we are
Makes sense.
working,
Makes
and we
sense.
like, and I'm not like like yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can think of some other way to facilitate a solution to your problem, you know? Anyway, let's keep thinking about it and maybe we can formalize some kind of rotation or maybe we can
Yeah.
alternate times or
But
something.
it's just that it's something that Andy and myself and Harshad will rotate on those meetings, and we are going to eventually rotate here as well.
Yeah, that's fine. And I think as long as you can manage that, that's cool.
No,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, because one of us can join notable call always, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
represent each other. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds good. Okay, we'll think about that. Okay, graduation steps. I need to follow up exactly if we have anything specific we need to do. We do have the adopters thing. Actually, I'm going to add that to the community section. Add yourself to adopters file. Adopters. There we go. If you're an adopter of notebooks, please add yourself. Also, if you're an adopter of the overall, is this one as well? Actually, let me just add this. So yeah, if you're an adopter, meaning you sell Kubeflow notebooks or you use it or you have something in relation to it, you develop it. I don't know, anything. Like not you as a person, to be clear, as an organization. Uh, uh, yeah, there we go. I guess I'll put dashboard as well. Oh no, we don't have one for dashboard. Maybe we should. Anyway, okay, cool. Let's move on. We'll talk about this. Okay, graduation steps. So in terms of graduating, obviously we're trying to hit a November target, which means we have to finalize the application to the CNCF in the next couple of weeks, realistically. There is some security process stuff I think that every org will need to do. Realistically, that would just mean each working group having a representative on some kind of security group as a triage and committing to triage issues to as they get raised. We'll probably have a team of people. Um, uh, we're still investigating what platform to use there. Obviously, GitHub is the easiest, but it's also not that well suited to large projects like this. I've reached out to the leadership of HackerOne, and they do offer free things, so we might use that. Okay, other than that, is anyone aware of any graduation steps that is this from any other meetings that we need to do? I'll just link back to the original community meeting so that people can see community meeting docs. Anyone aware of anything that we need to be doing? Because I don't want to block it. I don't want to be the one who gets grilled. So, um,
I don't know if it's related or not, Matthew, but now that all of the like CI GitHub actions on Kubeflow dashboard have moved? Do we need to start really trying to press on people to get the releasing GitHub actions there, or is that kind of
So
disjoint
technically,
from?
yeah, I mean, this is this meeting, yes. Strictly speaking, it would be under here, yeah. Like, so that's this item here. We do need to do that. It's just unfortunate that Julius doesn't attend these meetings because it's painful if he merges things without talking first. Like I'm not even 100% sure that those PRs were correct. Since I don't know if this person is contributing right now. Yeah, I don't think I think we won't have many problems as long as we're not raising the PRs anymore. You know what I mean? But because I don't think this person has time to contribute right now. So it's really just Andy, myself, and Julius who should work together. We should probably set up a separate meeting for that and just like because he's got some students for GSOC as well who he can throw at some of the problems. So I think that's probably a task there. I think I don't want to talk about too much here because I don't want to derail from
That's
notebook
fine.
2.0. But
Thank you.
yes, we need to do that. Like that is critical because this actually might block graduation. I think that's kind of what you were getting at. Okay, yeah. So like I agree that as it stands today, what will end up happening is manifests won't be graduated. You know what I mean? It will just not be declared as part of Kubeflow, which is fine, but it's much better if manifest is declared as not part of Kubeflow and not dashboard. Because in my mind, some parts of dashboard are included in the manifest repo, which is in the default Istio config, the default, like I think those are dashboard implementations. Anyway, but that's my perspective. I don't speak for the whole project. Anyway, is AMD here today out of interest? I may have shunned them away a little bit accidentally last time. I think they do need to come back with a more generic solution though. It's a bit crazy. If not, let's move on. Okay, feel free to message me if you're watching this. I do want to get it supported. I just also want a solution that doesn't require notebooks to solve the problem. If you know what I mean. Okay. Logos, Jenny.
Yes. So yeah, just to revisit that conversation, Eder and I have created a couple of logo proposals to share with the notebooks team here. So I'm going to just drop them in the chat here and we can discuss.
Is this these ones or are these different?
Oh, they're great. Yes. Oh, those are the new ones. Great. Yes. So this is from today. Yep. So yeah, if we want to discuss here, there's a few options here. I don't know if Eder, you want to add anything, but basically what we were discussing is that there's a few different things. As discussed last time, I think we were sort of trying to understand whether we want to go with the workspaces nomenclature there or the notebooks nomenclature. And then there's a few options there that are created to share with you guys. And yeah, so just opening it up to discussion. Is there anything else you'd like to add there, Eder?
Yeah, the only that we need to decide if it to be workspace or notebook first, and is that I'd like to highlight that I wasn't able to do in with for all the logo that I want. I wanted this version here, but instead of just the pencil has like yours, Jenny, like you have a notebook and a pencil plus the code and plus the engine in the logo, like a combination of this yours here and this one. Like instead of just this big pencil here, put like yours, the notebook, the notebook and the pencil.
Oh, I see. So you're saying like that's another option that we can propose to have a
That
notebook.
would be my favorite. Yeah.
I really like this this element of it, the code tag. I wonder if like that is sufficient as the central element.
The
You know what I mean?
tag on
Like
this
like my concern is just
this.
like when you cut, yes, that like a slash. Yeah, I wonder if that's sufficient. Or we could even cut it out of the shape like we do for the Kubeflow logo in some form, or make it an N. Because again, we have to think about it in the terms of the icon will be disconnected. This is for like logo, sure. But when the icon is disconnected, it needs to be recognizable when only 42 pixels across. There's way too much detail in here, I think, for 42 pixels, if you know what I mean. So like it's because like this is what the favicon will become on the page, right? So obviously when you're on the Kubeflow website, it will be, well, we've kind of gone in circles on this one, but and some of the logos have put their wording in the icon, which is unfortunate. Maybe we could fix that. I don't know, whatever.
I think that's a great point, Matthew. I think maybe we can do kind of a happy middle between like having a notebook icon and maybe having that code having that code tag like in the notebook. I
Because
think that could
the
be a
reason
good
I'm
idea.
only a little bit against the notebook aspect is because I also, when we do rename to workspace, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's fine, but like it's maybe it's fine. It's like, is it because what's the purpose of Kubeflow? That's kind of like the thing that's kind of what I want to discuss, right? Like notebooks. Sorry.
Kubeflow or Kubeflow? Yeah, I try to put this on the logo when I'm doing brainstorming with OpenAI. I try to do the altering of code. There's
Sure.
supposed to be the pencil and the notebooks, plus the code, and then the engine to represent the controller behind the scenes, the cog.
I'm not sure that that's how the users see it, right? Like, I think the users see it as a place where they can do their work, right? They can innovate. They can do things that are like not possible to do on their laptop, or they get access to a cluster of servers that are way bigger than they could run on otherwise. You know, for a lot of these research labs, you know, the cluster is running, well, it might be running Kubernetes, but it's probably running Slurm, right? And so like spawning a notebook for a lot of people means running a separate system for their notebook, right? Whereas when you're using Kubernetes and Kubeflow with your for your AI platform, you can actually run your notebook alongside your other jobs and other things. Like, anyway, all I'm saying is that the end result though is that they have an environment to interactively work with. So I think like the key element is like interaction, writing code, yes, definitely, creating stories and research. But like the engine and stuff is like that, sure, I guess, but like that's how we see it, right? The end user doesn't care how it's done in the end. They just want it to.
Yeah, I understand your point, but I think that the engine is what differentiates us from the running Jupyter lab locally.
Well, or you could just argue it's about clusters then, right? There's something to be said about like
Yes. Yep.
like
Yep.
it's about
Yep.
remote. It's about like
Yep.
it's about actually that may be an element of it, right? It's like it's somehow about connection, you know what I mean? And like but not in like a neural network sense, like which is how the trainer approach has taken, obviously. But also, by the way, this logo is not, I just made this randomly when we made the front page because it needed a logo. So again, also people are welcome to make a different logo there too. Or make one with words, I guess. But like Pipelines also doesn't have a logo as well, so that's something to discuss. But technically it did have a logo, but its logo was the main logo, but in a different color, which I don't think is a good idea. So, yeah, I don't know. All I'm saying is I love I like I think we just need to keep working on it. That's all I'm saying. Like I just think like
this.
But then okay, think about it without the wording on the bottom, right? So I don't think this is distinct enough when it's on its own. So like the wording on the bottom should be, definitely makes it the logo, right? This is like better, I think, but it's not does it need to be this? First off, it would need to also be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heptagon rather than hexagon as well. But
no, but this is the AI. We are gonna make the same stuff. If we will make the hexagon, yeah, this is the best model.
I'm just saying, like, just for people on the recording, this is we're not proposing using a different logo shape.
Oh yeah.
But the does it need to be this? I know that there is this common theme element. I guess maybe there is an implied default that you have.
I guess I would say so because model registry is the same as well.
What did model registry choose? And can we need to get you on the front page. Oh wait, it's not really released, is it?
No, it's released in alpha.
Is there logo here? Where can I see it?
I think I don't do idea.
We should get it somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Also, that's another thing. Actually, I was gonna add links along the
side.
Oh,
they didn't publish it because they are waiting for a release for it. Because CNSF just sent the logo.
That's another I wanted to add links to the GitHub repos along the side here as well. But again, I think it's hard to do until we move the components to their top bar. Because it's like, it gets quite nested otherwise. But how do I get, oh wait, I'll just go to the repo directly. Because like, otherwise, how do I find the repo, you know? Or we need this page to do it. We need a table on this page. That's what we need. We need to make this page a table of like, anyway, okay.
Yeah, I just pasted the model registry there. But one thing that we can do.
Wait, where?
Matthew, yeah, I just pasted there, the model registry.
I'm a little bit worried that might be too complicated as well, but that's separate.
Yeah.
I think
This
like
will be
something like kind of artifact, like a shovel or something, would be like something that implies
yeah, but
artifact.
this train gone already. This is the logo for the
Sure,
motorized.
that's fine. That's fine.
But for us, I would be stuck at, and I'm out of ideas about those ideas. I would say that if you want, we can write a description and ask the CNSF to design
Oh,
the logo.
100%. I think we just need, yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of what I'm thinking at, right? Like the main thing I want though is the icon to be distinct on its own, but not necessarily obvious what it is, right? You know, like Kubeflow's logo is amazing because even on its own, it's pretty obvious what it is. People don't actually notice that it's a KNF, but it is. But this, I think, could become distinct. I don't necessarily like the use of an outer color. I think that this makes it very hard to print, and gradients as well make them very hard to print. But the so in my mind, the default implication should be 2 colors, right? You should get 2 colors because you can usually print with negative space as one of the colors. You know what I mean? So like so like 3, I guess. But this obviously violates that, but you know what I mean? But in black and white, this still looks okay. But yeah, all I'm saying is I like this. Let's think about, let's agree maybe what we should agree on instead is a list of bullet points that we could send to someone who has no idea what notebooks is. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
Then we can send some references being like, it has to be a heptagon. It doesn't have to be blue. That's actually another thing. Should it be a different color?
Please blue. Because all others are blue. Otherwise, I would die every day that I open.
You'll die every day.
I open it because go in Kubeflow. Click on the Kubeflow website. Oh man, this.
We should make it
thing.
green. We should make it green. I'm joking.
This orange thing.
Whoa, what's wrong with Jupiter? Okay, whatever.
No, it's nothing wrong with the logo, but the logo placed here is blue, and there is an orange.
But honestly, it's too. I actually don't like the fact this is all blue. This isn't. I mean, it's fine.
Andriana put a nice point that yeah.
We need some other color on here, by the way, if we remove this orange, I feel like, because this is too blue, I think. Also, let's look at it in dark mode. This is very blue. But anyway, there's not a lot of color on this page.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
and also the gradient, I totally agree, because we need to make sure that someday we're going to print the logos in t-shirts, and gradient makes much more expensive and tough to do.
Oh, but by the way, I will just point out, Google has decided to make their logo a gradient. As of recently. I just want to highlight this. So this trend, it feels like people have given up on printing, or I don't know how they're going to choose to print this. You know, this is kind of because printing this is very challenging on anything. So like maybe they're just not anymore. I don't know, right? Like this is like maybe they only printed in black and white or something, or you know, what I'm saying is what Google does tend to influence the rest of the logo design industry. So I just, because, you know, when they went flat, everyone else went flat. So I just want to highlight that we don't want to look antiquated if this becomes a trend.
And if someone wants to propose a logo, that there is the color palette on the process that we need to write for the brief.
Yes, that's actually probably a good question. I think it's okay to have blue and another color. Do you agree with that? Do you agree it's okay to have blue and maybe
white?
Well, okay, that's a debate. But like either at least 2 tones of blue, or maybe blue and a warmer color, or a purple, or like that's what this is. This is purple, right? I would say, well, I don't know what this would be. Not purple, but something. It's blue, but.
Oh, Kyle is here as well from Red Hat UX team. Kyle can help us as well.
Anyway, we are getting way too in the weeds on this. Okay, let's keep talking about. We've got months to figure this out. I'm just saying. So I think the next steps definitely are. These are really good steps. I think the next steps are to agree on a description conceptually of what a user, both admin. So I guess there's an admin user as well. So there's something to think about there, like the persona, right? And then the core elements that we must have. And then send that to say, hey, make some concepts, you know what I mean? Or internally, we can make some more concepts as well. I'm fine with either way. And then I guess we can decide by a vote at some point, anonymous vote. But
yeah, and I just put on the link that could be that is the output for us to ask for the CNCF. And there is
Where?
I put on the chat here. There is a description of this is how this is the form that we need to
Oh, well, where'd you get this from?
from others.
Oh.
So if you go in and describe your project technology, this is what we need to do to follow, to fill for them.
We also do need to be clarified that we are within a context of a org that has a particular design language on its logos, but other than that, that's the only.
Yeah.
I think the use of negative space is good though. Like, also, I mean, anyway, like I did something similar for the deploy KF logo, but that's separate. Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, I started this because there was a session like logo designs you like, and then you can pull that logo. Well, let's go. Move
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Okay. We could also just not use a heptagon, as I was saying. We could just use a different shape that might more represent somehow a cluster or something, and then just still make it blue. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Someone's got their hand up. Anyone? Sorry. Okay, let's go.
I did get my hand up for the next issue that I put there for the workspace kind of creation. I would just need some more clarity on. I put it up there. Yeah. I want to know like what you want to achieve with like the UI in terms of affinity and in the pod config, and same with culling because I'm having quite a challenge trying to display that on a form in a way that is user friendly.
Yeah, so effectively, some of these things you just can't, right? You just need to
Yeah.
display them as the YAML file, right? Like that's kind
Okay.
of, and so I'm intrigued to see what you come up with there. Also, what does this sit under? Where is this? What epic is this sitting under?
I don't know actually.
Because it needs to be in the context of one to make sure that it makes sense to even be discussing. Right now at least.
I
Yeah,
think
this is part of the next epic.
It's something that it is like a future one, but I've been working on.
Where
for
is that?
a bit.
Which one is it though?
It was on the beginning.
It's not that one, obviously. It's probably not that one. It's
Oh, I did a bad copy and paste.
because this is an admin tool, obviously,
It is, yeah.
So like, yeah, the culling is interesting because it's also going to change a little bit once the PR gets merged. But the end result will still be. It is just kind of complicated, right? There's like, like it's like a bash script, right? So in the end, we will need that. If we choose to do that, we will need the common UI for the code editor element. So I guess what's our status on that? Does anyone know? Do we have a code editor UI element in general with like that uses Monaco? Because that's what I would suspect the only solution to your problem is really. It's just a bunch of fields and then a Monaco field in the middle.
We haven't coded anything like that at the moment, but I can explore that. I was thinking that would be the solution as well. Either the user upload like a complete workspace kind YAML
So they won't be
from
able
the
to do
beginning.
that. Okay, so to be clear, they won't be able to do that. So the reason, so that's the first one, right? So they need to get their initial template from somewhere, but then once they've got it, actually editing it as a full YAML will be nearly impossible for most situations because if it's being used, the work that you can't actually edit. Like there's a lot of conditions that you may or may not be allowed to edit, and just copying and pasting would be very challenging. So like effectively, like the UI should help you. I don't know, like the most, but that's not the core feature. Again, if we come back, this is why it needs to be in the context of an epic, because like the most important short-term feature is the ability to just create the initial one, right? So sure, that's gonna be a YAML, or maybe, and then we have some element to pull from the default ones, right? Then the next one is the most obvious next step is adding new options. Then there's the much more complicated step of removing options and deprecating and redirecting, which is definitely the next priority after that. Because everything else can be done in that initial setup or just manually editing it as a patch, you know what I mean? Because the API would just reject updates that are invalid to anything. So like, for example, if you created a redirect that's a loop, it won't let you do that. If you try and remove an option that's already in use, it won't let you do that. If you try and remove an object that's a target of another redirect but not already in use, it won't let you do that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of really complicated checks that go in place for mutating workspace kinds. And that's the reason it needs to be a UI, because we can't use GitOps for this because it's not declarative in the sense that like the actual result is declarative, but the valid mutations are unknown to the GitOps system, right? You know, so like for example, if I want to redirect option 1 to option, and also the actual process of creating the redirect is like it's like there's like a UI editor for like the markdown diff, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
gets presented to the like this is just bad experience to edit in the UI, right? So I'd say if you want to pre-build things, I'd say working with the rest of the team to get a standardized code editor, which will also be used for the overall YAML, and then once we start breaking the more complicated sections down, having that code editor be an element that you can drop into an edit flow, for a specific sub element, like we've already discussed the culling, and then the last part was but don't do that yet. I'd say start off with just the most basic YAML paste thing and the most basic YAML update thing, right? And then if the workspace, if the update is valid from the API's perspective, it will accept it. Did you do anything beyond that right now? Because then after that, I would say the next most important thing, which is hard, is making the redirect flows.
Right now, what I have in review is like just the properties for the workspace kind as well as the images. So the first 3 steps, the creation method, and then the images as well as the properties, and then currently I'm working on the pod configs. I'll brainstorm with Kyle, who's also here this afternoon, to see what the best solution is moving forward. Either we have something super basic, and then the more advanced fields like affinity, node selectors, resources, and stuff like that. We can
So
discuss.
the actual pod config should that's a good question, but I feel like most admins aren't gonna want a nice UI for that. That's just my suspicion, right? Like that the YAML is much more valuable, and have it effectively. I'd say that even if but my recommendation to you is break down the sections into their own YAML input fields, with the exception of things like description name and editor. Sorry, I'll move on.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that means mostly you want to do via YAML, but I think the edit process
that's what I'm saying. Like you split
UI.
it down. What I'm saying is like, but to create a new image, we don't bother creating a bunch of input fields. We just give me the YAML block for the pod config, give me the YAML block for the image config. You see what I mean? And then it's like, and then what we do is we validate their YAML and highlight it in red when it's not valid for some reason. You know what I mean? Rather than and then, but that's for adding new ones. Again, you cannot update one, so don't even bother thinking about updating one. But making a new one from an existing one should be an allowed thing, right? Where effectively you click duplicate option and then update and slightly change it. You know what I mean? And then we kick into the other flow, which is redirect, right? Which is like if you just updated one a tiny bit, do you want to redirect from the one you just built from? You know what I mean, or something like that. But maybe that can be separate. But all I'm saying is that I think don't get bogged down in trying to make a UI for everything, especially because it's going to keep expanding.
I think the images is simple enough that we can do the UI. But yeah, for the pod config.
But like my reason for not wanting to do that even is because like people are going to want to copy and paste. They're going to be like, here's the like there should be like a bulk add options field where you can copy and paste elements of a and then the UI, and our thing should be like, hey, you've already got one that uses that image. Are you sure you wanted to add a new image instance of the exact same image? You know what I mean? And or something like it's more like helping the admin, and then in the future we can have a button which says, hey, you're using the official Jupyter example workspace kind, right? Pull in the latest versions from the upstream example repo or from some other source, but that's a future thing. But I think again, focusing around the YAML in the short term, with the exception of stuff like name, description, and other things like that of the not the actual image, but like of the
I mean the reason why I think images are a little easier is most of the fields are strings, right? And then the for the pod config, there are more like nested objects, and then a lot of arrays that we have to be aware of.
So we'll probably end up having an API backend for add new image so that people can automate
Right.
that with their automation, like a CI/CD build process. Like you can imagine, like, because we can't quite do the GitOps as I was saying, but like say someone has a repo that's like our repo for notebook images, right? And it's like, oh, we
Mhm.
built a new one, and the build system can do a pip list and get information and create its own tags
Yeah.
and whatever else. We'll probably have an add option API
Yes. Yes.
and a remove one, but that's just side the note. So, but think like the dry. This is why I'm saying we should be in the context of like a feature spec because I think this one is very easy to go horribly down the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And I have an inclination that you might have already done that. Like just because like I think about when I'm adding 30 options at once.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So let's say like a common use case might be I add 10, 20 image specs at the same time. Pod configs, less likely, but I still might add, let's say, 20 when I first spin up a new type of node, right? Like it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I've got a new type of GPU. I've got a new something, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, and so from my perspective, the most valuable thing from an admin perspective in the adding of options is easily going from the YAML, which they could just copy and paste from the YAML file, to is that a valid, what will that look like? Like saying the result of these 3 YAML entries is this, like it's more, I don't know, like it's the reverse, right? Where it's like the editing element is actually the YAML still, right? I don't know, right? Like, I don't know if I'm going the wrong direction there. I just feel like that's because admins are just going to want to copy paste as much as they can, right? Like
Yeah.
they're not going to
Yeah.
want to copy paste
Yeah.
into each field. That's not acceptable, I don't think, for them.
Okay.
For normal users, sure, but not for
Mhm.
because they're not doing it in normal users don't do things in bulk.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my feeling. Anyone else
Okay.
disagree or agree here? So like what I would expect is maybe, how we've got the workspace kind overview view, like when you obviously got the table and then you go into a specific one and then you can click on specific options. I don't know if where
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I know
Maybe
what you're
then one
talking
of the
about.
things is like,
So you're saying like what a lot of like these advanced features could be added when you view the workspace? Is that a workspace kind? Is that where we're getting at here?
what's more like, so once you've got a workspace, like getting we don't even need to have the create be anything more than a YAML dump for the first iteration, right? It's just like copy, paste, create new workspace, paste the whole YAML file in. If it's valid, great. Now, once
Mhm.
we've got one is where the things start becoming complicated because we're updating an existing one.
Right.
So then there's some elements like properties. Sure, that can be in a field because I'm never doing that in bulk. You know what I mean? That's just like, oh, edit the description, edit the upload it. And also you want stuff like, oh, I need to upload a new PNG file or whatever else, That's great.
Yeah.
Then after that, it's like options. And so for those ones, the only UI driven flow that is necessary is going to be redirects, I think. But for adding new ones, which again, you can't update existing ones other than to add a redirect or just change the description name. So it's like I don't know if you've seen the YAML, right? I just want to highlight this for you. So I'm talking in
Yeah.
abstract right now.
I've seen it. Yeah.
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 I'll
I know
just
what you're
quickly
talking about.
I'll just so that people on the recording understand what I'm going at. I don't want to go too far into this, but I think this is important for the next one. But we need to move on quickly after this. Is samples, workspace kind. So the elements these elements up here are never going to change for the 99.9% of workspaces after the initial creation. So
Mhm.
these pretty much don't need to make a nice element to change. They could just be edited directly. Now, the next part is options. These will change very regularly and might be changed in the hundreds, right? Where it's like, I want to remove these 50 options, right? You know what I mean? Like, or something.
Mhm.
And now the question is, okay, when I'm in a UI, what am I caring about? Well, the thing I care about is the default, sure. Like that changing which one's default, of course. But that's from a UI perspective, just ticking one of the boxes probably. It's
It is.
this
Yeah.
element here. So now here, ID can never change. That's how we
Right.
identify these things. Spawner can definitely change. In fact, everything here can change. I don't know if labels can. I guess we'll think about that. But these ones are allowed to change by definition. spec can never change. This is immutable. So effectively, what you would want is when you're creating a new one, I just want to paste this whole thing in with the redirect being empty, probably most of the time.
Yeah, we should change the labels as well, Matthew.
Yeah,
Maybe we are
sure.
using the labels to filter the workspace kind.
Should
the
they be
workspace kind in the
mutable or
workspace.
not?
Mutable.
I think they should be mutable.
Yeah, because when you go in workspace creation, we are using those to build the filter list.
I think there's also something to be said that maybe we should store metadata somewhere about them, like, because some of these labels, like the CI/CD systems can add them or whatever, right? But like, I wonder if we can add dynamic labels for like a JSON payload, which includes all the pip list of the default Python environment or something, you know?
Yeah.
But that's future. That's future. So like, but from a user perspective, I want to be able to paste like, oh, I'm an admin. I want to come add these two options. I know, and I know that this is the correct one. I just want to validate that it would be valid. Like,
Yeah.
like that I haven't already added them or whatever. And so, yeah, like, but then adding redirects is the only one. It's like, I'd say start by just having copy paste in for this section and this one especially as well.
Yeah. I think that one is that's harder. Yeah.
This one also validation wise, we aren't doing it as well. We do a little bit of validation, but it is possible to make an invalid one of these.
Yeah, I think the affinity is definitely the ones that is a little harder to validate, but it could be done.
But again, let's just let's not even bother trying in the first iteration. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's more about the bulk adding, easily adding, and then the complicated thing that I think you need to think about from a UI perspective is, okay, if we do make this a YAML input where you're inputting a list object in a Monaco editor, then it's like, how do we real time give as much feedback as we can to say, like, red, this section is invalid. You know what I mean? Like this of your pasted in YAML.
Okay.
Or
this is super complicated.
Yeah.
I understand.
This is super complicated. I would try to tie in a wizard to change this stuff and figure out some way that you can generate the YAML.
So the way, in my mind, you should actually be pushing this to the backend. So to the controller. So you can run a dry run webhook validation to say, would this have been valid? You know what I mean? At worst, right? So like, you don't actually have to do the update.
No, valid or invalid, yes, but providing content assistant for the user to say, it's invalid here.
Well, like we can do a very basic validation, which is like a structured input of it's still YAML in the end. They could paste something completely invalid, but it's like down the bottom, it's like trying to show, like my vision would be that there would be for the add options page, right? You're adding effectively there's a text editor which expects a list YAML object at its root.
Why we don't create a form?
Because again, how do I copy and paste 50 options in then? So then what I'm saying is that like the way that I'm visioning it is you have a Monaco text box at the top of this is for add, not update or anything, right? This is add. Well, I guess we can also update dynamically as well.
Yeah.
But and then what happens is down the bottom, it says, here's a table of the resulting options that were added, updated, but not removed because removing will be a separate flow. So what I'm saying is like, effectively the UI for the admin is very simple. It's like for an existing notebook, I want to add or update lots of existing ones. I just say, for example, I go to think about the common workflow. We release a new version of the notebooks upstream. I just copy and paste all of them because I know that they're all the same. And then it's like, those ones are the same, it diffs them. And it's like, here's a row of changes.
Yeah, Matthew. This is a type of thing that I disagree because this is super complicated to implement in my point of view.
I don't think it's that complicated.
Oh yeah. Because when you put an editor in the top of stuff, the next thing that people want to see validation, see what's happened, have content assistant. People expect a lot of features from an editor online. I think for this use case of the copy and paste, they should just do invisible code and do via GitOps and re-import and re-merge. But I think the basic use case that the form is important is to add a new one.
Sure.
We need first to fix to add a new option. And in my point of view, this new option should be via form. and not
I just don't think
if
that's ever what an admin's going to want. I mean, that will be
I,
what some
I
users
think
will want.
I would say that this is what admin mostly wanna do. Is like to add a new image, to update a new image, to add a redirect and this sort of stuff.
But then what about if there's like 50 labels that they want to add? Like, that seems really tedious in a UI. Like, it's, it's, all I'm saying is like, even if it's just as an interim, like, even if the thing you're saying is true, right? Like, we can literally, like, because the one thing we can, like, the valid is like, so it's not that hard to have a YAML validation in the front end that says this is a JSON schema for the YAML, right? And JSON schema validation will even tell you this field, and we can do the most basic of fields, like ID is required, spawner display name is required, description is required, label is required. No, not required, but label must be an element of lists. I mean, this validation can be done in real time on the front end. And then once we can even have a validate button for a specific one, which sends it to the webhook and says, if I added this option to this workspace kind, would you have accepted it in its current form?
I guess for like creation flow, like yeah, sticking with simpler is better. I'm not arguing with the editing flow for sure, because editing I think should be probably is a little more complicated, or adding more after you have a current an existing workspace kind. Um, but I guess like for the creation flow, we want to make it easy for the admin, right? And
Creation
for
of the workspace or what? Or the option?
creation of the workspace kind. That's what we're I'm trying to pick a
Uh,
brain
the,
here.
the thing, Charles, is that my point of view, people will
Mhm.
rarely create new workspace kind.
Yes.
Because
Almost
it'll
never.
be just a few, because it'll be just a few of them.
Yeah.
But they
So
will
they'll just
edit a
copy and
lot.
paste. So they're just
Yeah.
gonna, like, my expectation is creation is just copy, paste in from their clipboard the default one, that whatever the current upstream default is. That's for 99.99% of people, I think, what their default would be.
Yeah, I think the debate, like we agree that some fields will never and allow people to edit because it'd be complicated or immutable. But the things like, should you have a form or should you open an editor here and create a full text editor in top
I
of
think
this?
that both. I think there should be, like, I think, but in the first release, it should just be the full YAML of the workspace kind. Like, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, the default one, like the only thing that needs to be there in November. Like, I'm not saying we can't also work on things that make other steps better, but the only thing that I know for absolute certainty needs to be in here is the ability to click edit like this and have the full workspace kind editable like this. And then you have a click button which says validate rather than submit necessarily. You can have like validate and submit, right? And then it's like, oh, yep, okay, I'm adding a new option, because then it's as simple as I go, yep, okay, I actually wanted another one of these. Let me add that.
Can the controller tell us exactly where it's broken?
It will always do that, yes. It's very, like, when I designed the controller, I was very careful to make sure that the error warnings were as descriptive as possible. Under some errors,
Think there are things that are both the JSON schema, right? Because for schema we can validate online, but things like a redirect that's not
yeah.
correct, for instance.
So it depends on how the redirect is incorrect, and also the failures of validation try and happen as late as possible. So like a redirect loop obviously prevents me from being able to say anything more than that there is a loop and it is this loop. You know what I mean? Like the first, I found one loop, because I can't keep searching once I find one loop, because I could be I could end up infinite. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Andy. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. You're open for a long time.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So this kind of ties into something I wanted to bring up too, right? I guess we can table this, but the front, like, we have this back end layer to abstract Kubernetes native details from the front end. And I totally understand what the complexities here. We want to just support this YAML upload, but that like raises some weird kind of philosophical questions on how this API should be structured. And like, if we're talking about front end doing validation, I feel like it's kind of wrong to make front end CRD aware, because that kind of undermines the entire purpose we introduced the back end component. And so like if we have this create workspace kind as we're discussing here, I also want to know what that means on the back end, right? Because post slash workspace kinds feels like that should follow the schema of get slash workspace kind slash name. And so then I don't know how we want to structure the back end to allow like this raw YAML upload, which like for good reason is deliberately circumventing the abstraction that we wanted to build the back end for.
So the backend is also just a REST API, right? So I would expect for workspace kinds, the most common workflow will be just editing the YAML, because from an admin's perspective, they're aware of the YAML. And again, this is just the first release. Like we can think about what better things we can do, but like this in my mind is like a non-negotiable feature. Like the admins will want the YAML directly. Is kind of what I'm saying.
I completely agree. I guess I just don't know what this means. I think it's very vague from an API structure. Like slash workspace kinds is an API. This is a totally
There will
different...
also be APIs for that, is what I'm saying. Like, so there will be things that are like a CLI that you can run on your local machine, which would do the same thing, which is like they can loop over 100 images and add them, right? You know what I mean? And we can add even smart things like saying merge with existing if already exists. You know, don't you like ID doesn't have to be
I posted this in Slack yesterday, right? So like I'm just looking for guidance of like even like as simple as like what is the endpoint, what is the URL to support this, right? If we're talking about YAML upload is something we want to target in June, I just don't feel confident proposing what this endpoint should look like because it feels like it's not slash workspace kinds because or it could be maybe
well, there's
we
no
play
reason
with
it can't
content
be.
type.
Which part are you
just
thinking?
Well, in my mind, slash workspace kinds is a RESTful resource, and that RESTful resource has a schema. But once we say we're supporting a request payload that is YAML one-to-one to the Kubernetes spec, that is not the same as the schema we're getting back from get slash workspace kinds. And so it feels weird hanging this all under workspace kinds when the response schemas are misaligned. Like if you get a workspace list from the API, you don't see a spec attribute. But when we upload this YAML, there is a spec attribute. It's spawner as an attribute name does not exist in the workspace kinds API response. It's flattened out. But in the YAML, spawner is a root property that has child elements. And so
I get what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying. I don't think there's any hardcore requirement that the object of a get and a post need to be the same structure, but like
which is fine. So then that would be that yes, like you can
but I'm not saying that this is actually I'm agreeing. We don't put it under here.
Yes.
Like I'm not like this workspace kind probably won't have a post, is what I'm saying.
Right. And so then how like where does this one hang? I guess is you know what I mean? Like because we need
we need a post for the import.
I think maybe it's but maybe he's right and he's right that we should have a because there's a bunch of different abstract concepts that could also happen, right? Where like rather than it's more like actions, you know what I mean? It's like this is a more of it like it's like actions on the workspace kinds like pull latest from a server that is serving up options, you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? Like
I do, but like actions as we did it for workspaces exist under a specific workspace. Here, it's like cart before the horse of
well, this still exists on a workspace kind. This still exists on a workspace kind.
So like, right, but we like you would need. I'm saying like if we just wanted to do slash actions, you couldn't do post API v1 workspace kind slash actions because that would like conflict with what an update endpoint would look like. The name of the workspace kind should follow the workspace kind. And so like, I don't know where to hang this, I guess. Or it's just
I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah, can I ask? It's like it'll be a middle ground proposal. I'm just thinking right now. Because we have the feature that people you're gonna to copy and paste, right? To create a workspace kind. And we are kind of taking that and also import from the GitHub repository or URL that have the endpoint. And actually what we are doing, we are taking that code, that YAML, and we are translating that YAML. This happens on the front end, on the back end, to the object. This already happened on the front end or not? Like
Because my question is, I think that's undefined as well, right? What does upload
Yeah.
YAML mean from UI to send to backend? Do we transform it versus send it raw?
That is because imagine that we are transforming, like we are parsing this somewhere with a utility function and transforming in the data transfer object between the front end and the backend for the backend type, right? To abstract. If you are doing this.
By the way, we've got really in the weeds here.
On the weeds, yeah.
We also, it is 9 a.m. So if people have a meeting, they can drop. But we'll keep going for a little bit more time. Let's. Yeah. So I think probably there will be a path to get the YAML of any of these specific things, because it's also going to be there's going to be a get on YAML. So what I'm saying is for even workspace. So wherever that is should be the post on that path should update the YAML. So let's just quickly agree how we're going to do that. And so again, this is not overall, this is for a specific workspace that already exists, or is I agree that it's a bit confusing if it's going to be created, but actually it could be as simple as changing the API response type to YAML.
And that was one of the things I talked about in Slack. If we did content type YAML, you could.
Or actually, to be clear, you can specify a schema as well. You could specify content type YAML plus workspace or something. See what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Okay. If we're happy with that, I can run with that and spec some stuff out. That seemed to be the cleanest. I mean, in my mind,
for a get, for the get, 100%, and then also for the get workspaces, it also probably makes sense as well, right? Where it's like we can also just get the full YAML list here if that was ever necessary for the front end. Do we agree, Edo, that makes the most sense?
No. On the endpoint, yes. I'm only not sure about exposing the YAML editor for the end user.
Well, because hold on, sorry, Eder, I don't want to change context yet. So for get, that makes sense, but I wanted to quickly do an exercise on create.
No, the create. That's why the create depends on if you need the creates on the front end.
Only for the workspace kind, though. Yes, for the workspace kind, that will be the primary way by which people create workspaces.
Workspace kind, you mean? Sorry.
Yes. So, like, I'd say we won't have a create, like, for the first few releases of Kubeflow workspaces, I don't expect we won't have a nice workflow for creation. I think we'll just say copy paste one of the default YAMLs in here. Editing, yes, we will provide, but not creation. You know what I mean? Like, creation is just, and the workspace kind, the backend will do a lot of work for us. The controller will do a lot of work for us as well on that.
So do we want, as at least a straw man proposal initially, use this post API v1 workspace kinds with a content type similar to what you talked about for Git workspaces, but apply that to the post of workspace kinds?
There's like a payload. Like, I know that GitHub's API uses special content types often, you know, like,
right, yeah, it's like a bunch of slashes and pluses. Yes, exactly.
But that's not, it's very intentional.
Yes.
API like, it's actually within the RCF is what I'm saying.
There's a spec behind how they're structured. Yes.
Like, so if we do I'm just going to go repository.
Because I know to do like API raw file downloads, that's a very specific, like .vnd something. Yes, there you
go. So like, this is accept VND GitHub JSON. I don't know what VND is in this case, but it just makes it and also it's very easy to generate these YAMLs if we want to validate them in the front end from the CRDs. But in any case, so in the short term though, we're going to need at least a get for the immediate term. We will need a get YAML, and then we do have one problem, which is, do we get the status? What is the status field? You know, down the bottom, like,
I'm kind of convinced that the cluster admin, if they need to edit a YAML and do a huge copy and paste, they're going to use their terminal and do a kubectl apply. That's
what I'm saying. We're just literally trying to replace that.
No, I don't think you're going to replace that, because people will be over time people get used to every time more like GitHub Copilot and GitHub Cursors IDEs, and you'll never be able to provide this sort of functionality on the web. So we always be ended with a subpar editor for people doing these hardcore tasks. That's why, in my point of view, and I understand if ever Chard is a new and agrees, I will just facilitate the small thing left to do to add a small one. There is add a redirect, add one image, because those bulk actions, people need more assistance and they go towards their ID. And we never have these on the editor. We never be able to have an editor good enough in the Y
Okay,
able
but
to satisfy this
even in
use
that
case.
they're still going to need to get the current state.
Oh
that
yes,
they,
yes. No,
that
no,
they
no.
could
For
edit.
no, yeah,
Right,
for
you
the
know,
get.
even if they
no.
copy and paste that get, which again
Absolutely.
would remove all of the metadata fields which are not editable, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't give you like resource version and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for the get, in my point of view, should output exactly what is this, remove all the kinds and like a clean resource for him to edit. But the putting the editor in the Y is something that, in my point of view, is a little controversial, I would say.
We also will lose all of these comments. Actually, no, we won't. The comments are stored. I take that back. Sorry.
Yeah. But we can, if you can scroll a little down.
Yes.
Like in my point for the what they're talking about adding, yeah. When I add in here, I would put a form, because form is the add a redirect, change the image. I think people you do here like one operation per time.
So those are things that we should discuss
Yeah.
rather than building. Like how that flow works is so complicated and so user driven that it's very hard until we actually see how people use it, I think. I think I think building anything there is just a mistake, is kind of right now, is kind of what I'm saying. Like I think the answer will become very clear, but it's not like, I think let's focus on assuming that all edits, with the exception of like some of these spawner description ones, take place in YAML, provide a quick way to get the YAML, and then assume that everyone's going to do the redirects manually or with a CT, like a CLI. Honestly, that's probably like, you know what I mean?
No, sorry, I to disagree, because I think the redirect on the Y is an important flow.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's more like a maintenance action.
Yeah, because for the bulk actions, I think people for the like the copy and paste a bunch of those configs, people you do via kubectl. But like adding a redirect, adding a new option, those flows should be the image, because when I'm doing this, I want to see the Y, to see which workspace are working on, which workspace are using, what they state. So it should be a flow in the Y, like I want to do a read.
Like I get that. Yes, that's a great. Anyway, we need to get back to other tasks as well, but like because we've gone way over time. Like my only thing is that if there's 500 options in this YAML, are they really going to be able to figure out what the hell's happening in a kubectl?
Yes, with no, sorry.
Like if they say there's like 500 images in this, and let's say 50 pod copies, I copy to be able to do a kubectl play. I have to go copy and paste probably a megabyte worth of text or close to it. At some point we're going to have to probably compress this as well, because like it's going to get too big for the YAML. And then I have to anyway, so I copy and paste it into local, and then I'm like, oh, I want to add 50 new options, right? Like that's why I come back to like adding for what you're trying to do is like, yes, I don't know, right? Like I just feel like it's going to be very difficult for them to figure out what's going on.
I want to be able to add a label in a Y, add a new option in a Y, and also do a redirect via Y without having to touch the YAML.
I'm sorry to interrupt. These edit talks are fascinating and important, but I'd love to bring it back more near term. Just we have a story to upload a YAML. And so I just want to know the back end, like / API v1 workspace kinds with that GitHub style content type. I just want to make sure I'm very crisp on that, because create from YAML upload. I really want to make sure I understand getting out of this call.
Yeah, I agree too. Can just thank you, Matthew, Andy. Can you go scroll on the sprint goals that I put there, Matthew, on the top?
Oh, very top.
Yeah, it's like this. We should focus on this 1, 2, 3 there. That the cluster admin want to list workspace kinds, get details about workspace kind, and figure out how many workspaces are running in each option. And the second, Andy, is the one that you mentioned, that I need to kick populate notebook, installing by uploading a YAML definition, and needs to customize basic metadata, display name, description, action that allow him to efficiently initiate the manual configure each one.
And so yeah, here I'm just so like this edit stuff we have to resolve, right? Like I'm not like saying that, but for the month of June, I would love to understand just that API backend of upload YAML. And if we think it's just post to workspace kinds because it doesn't make sense to ever really support JSON, and we can just do a YAML type on content and then just return the JSON representation in the response, I can happily go about writing up stuff to realize that, but it's unique enough. I didn't want to just say this is the direction we're going without discussion.
Well,
do you agree with those goals, Matthew, to June?
Yeah, these are. I don't understand this second sentence, but like, why is that? How is that? What do you mean configuring each one?
To do manually. Like I'm able to do a lot of upload like 3 kinds without having to do manually work.
Well, you mean just copy and paste the YAMLs, you mean? Yeah, sure. Okay, like you would for a kubectl apply is what I'm saying. Yeah, and then, but that's only the first one, right? The next one is we need at least to be able to provide a patch or update.
Yeah.
Yes.
By this, that was not like the June goal. I mean, subject to debate, right? But yeah,
well,
that,
I think what I'm saying is I think we can get one if we just have, in the same way that you copy and paste YAML into the Monaco editor to click upload, right? We just have another one which is get existing one, and then you can click save, and then if the backend accepts it, the controller accepts it, then it accepts it. If it doesn't accept it, then it doesn't accept it. And then that's the initial edit flow. You know what I mean? And that's because that's what I'm saying. Like that's like I think that'll always need to be there, is what I'm saying. So
on the UI, you mean?
Yeah, and even in the UI. I don't think there's any danger to having that, is what I'm saying. And it breaks us out of having to do any design on that section until we actually know more about what people need to do. Like, what if we significantly change how the backend controller stuff works? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, so then we can focus on visualizing the workspace kinds in the UI and performing bulk actions. You know what I mean? And then maybe the redirects as its own flow.
Yeah, because for me, the bulk actions will require some UI that's not the YAML. To people
Well,
add
but the bulk
options.
actions are like restart on the workspaces anyway, so it's not. Anyway, so like all I'm saying is definitely for June, I think the only one other additional one is able to edit the YAML of an existing workspace kind CRD in a Echo style editor with only basic validation in the front end. Can click save after making changes, and will try and update, try doing an update pull on backend, pull to Kubernetes, and correctly unpack any validation errors. To explain, it doesn't even need to highlight in the editor, but we could highlight in the editor as well, you know, underline what was invalid, possibly using the some like at least I don't know. This is a good question of like annotation, using annotations on the Monaco editor lines, which caused the problem. You know, like that's a longer one stretch, but
this will be tough.
it's
This
easier
the
than
type of thing is not easier because your YAML that the controller sent to me is different in the lines than the editor that I showed to the user.
So what the validation response does give though is the YAML path. So we can just align that. So it's like spec thing 0, 1. That was the cause of this problem. I mean, so like we can, as long as we can pass the YAML, we can find where the issue was. So this is a stretch, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like at the very least though, it needs to at least just dump back the errors that it got, because like the user can figure that out themselves.
Yeah. You understand? I think that most of the users will be confused about the whole YAML. That's my point in long term for the project. But I agree that we need to have this feature
in the short term.
In the future, in the short term, I agree. But even in the future, we can have a tab like advanced that I know the advanced user do this.
Yeah, this is going to be.
You understand my concern? My concern is that the regular Joe that is using this, he will see the YAML there and they're going to say, I don't know what to do with this. I just want to add a new option.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Do you agree that there is this chance of this?
I don't know. Like, yeah, there will be some people who get confused, but I think the issue is that when there's a small number of options, it's pretty easy to deal with the YAML. But then the question comes, how do I automate stuff? You know, like I want to have a CI/CD system which builds new images, right? You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, yes, we need to have a way which doesn't know about the YAML at all and just says, see, like a backend API call which just says add new option if it's available to add.
I didn't follow you on this one.
What I'm saying is, I think
so like let me take an action item to present on the next call, Matthew. Let me map out some of these APIs and flows because this is in line with what I wanted to think about. And Eder, I can follow up with you.
I'm saying it's like
just to be clear, I agree with this for June for sure.
Yes. We've got way over time, by the way. Oh my god. Okay.
I just don't want to have this be the only option for the user. I want something simple for them.
I'm not saying that we don't have other options in the future. I just also don't think that we can tell what those options should be until we have users.
I guess so. I have a good taste, you too.
We have some ideas, but like,
yeah,
I really think this is one of those things where like,
and we have the WEX team here with Kyle that can interview users before we
that's what I'm saying. Like,
this. Yeah,
I think it's seeing how admins want to use it, right? I really like, because it could be that no one ever edits in the UI and only uses CI/CD to do stuff. You know, that 99. You know what I mean? That like. With the exception of the manual flows which require state, like redirects and things like that. Like, so that's the only one that I'm confident in building sooner, which is redirects. And you know what I mean? That's the only. Anyway,
Kyle just replied. Kyle just replied that Kyle is from the WEX from Red Hat. Matthew here is helping on the calls on this project.
Yes.
And he told me that he'll get some data on this.
Well, we don't know yet what people are going to do, but yeah, that's kind of. Anyway, in the short term, though,
this is the data.
In the short term, these are the most important ones, and literally all this needs is a post and a post for creating and a put for
And just so, but from future use API v1 workspace kind, since we don't really see a use case of them ever having like the JSON abstracted backend equivalent, I guess that's the
for create. You mean?
Yes.
Yes. We could just make sure that we check the type, right? That's all. Like we just reserve that for future.
Right, yeah. So it'll have its unique type, but use that path, but with some sort. I'll put a proposal up for that. But okay.
Like I believe we already. I just want to confirm. I know we've gone way too into the weeds here. I just want to confirm we do literally validate the type. Yeah. See, look at this.
Yes.
So
okay.
Like,
perfect.
I'm already doing that under create. So it's like I was anticipating that something like this might happen, right? And it's kind of like
okay. That gives me thank you. So that gives me confidence to start writing stuff up that's directionally aligned with your
the front end
expectations.
will also need to get. And Ed, are you happy with like again? I'm not saying that we don't have it. I'm just trying to make it so that we have something that actually is useful in the very short term while we're developing, right?
And yeah, I totally agree. I just warn you that we should not get in the deep hole of writing a good editor on over the UI, because it's super complicated. It should be like load, save, and show errors.
Yeah, and so the only complicated part is importing the JSON schema, making it so that Monaco can validate YAML.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
what I'm saying is,
if you have the schema, we can validate.
because I can get the
easy.
JSON schema from the CRD. You know what I mean? So it's insane. It's insane not to do that, right?
Yeah.
I can't give you editing validation like redirects until you try, but other than that, you know, like it's
The thing that I think the JSON schema will be slightly different, right? Because we are hiding fields, some fields.
The only negative, you're right, actually, is that the workspace. I think probably the way to do it is just to have a button that says validate at the bottom, which does, as I said, a dry run apply.
Yes, and then save.
And then an actual apply once you click validate first, and the save button is grayed out until you validate. You know what I mean? For example.
Yep.
And that I think that's so. Let me just write that. Like, actually, let's write so. Because this also applies to create as well, to be very clear. You know, so like so.
We can use the same Monaco editor for create, because when user upload, we just put
it's
what
exactly
they
the same.
upload
It's just
for editor,
versus,
and then the validate and save.
Yeah, so like effectively, yeah, like okay, so I don't quite agree with these statements. So it's kind of like should be able to upload create a new workspace kind by uploading its raw YAML in the in a web-based editor. This editor will provide a button to validate, which will ask the cluster if the currently proposed YAML would be accepted, and if it would not be accepted, display the errors in a well-formatted list. Stretch.
Please put stretch in the well-formatted.
Yeah, stretch is this, which is like use annotations to highlight the lines which were identified by the Kubernetes validation error as causing a problem. You know what I mean? Like because like
it's the same. It's more or less the same wording, just adding the web interface, but we can update.
But I'm saying is we don't have any of this other stuff, is what I'm saying. And then the next one is also like effectively this. I don't know how to word it. Similarly, provide the ability to reopen this YAML editor for an existing workspace kind and apply updates because deleting an option is really simple. Then you just delete the option, you know what I mean? And then if it's invalid, then it's invalid. Updates updates.
People cannot delete options, right?
They can, absolutely, as long as no one's using them. The backend will fail if there's anyone using them. So the controller will fail. It'll be a validation. It will literally respond. Option at this subpath is being used. No, I'm not allowing you to remove it. And to be clear, if I did 10 different changes, that would just be one of the errors. It would say, hey, let's say you also had an error which was 2 IDs.
This is the sample of. I will continue with this. Is a sample of interaction that people needs to do via tool, a Y tool to delete because I want,
100%. Long term, 100%. But short term, June, we can have this done, is what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. And we can be thinking about the flow for those other ones, but we don't need to have done them. And so I guess this is that, right? But we need to read this, but like I guess the question is stretch for this one. Provide a UI driven edit flow for the properties section, including updating descriptions, icons. That's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, if we're agreeing on these goals, this is actually the one thing we can do for this meeting, at least that's valid, which is, my God, we've gone way off track. Okay. Joel Cosmo wants to build a list workspace kinds. Now, this is where the effort should be done. Yes, 100%. This is like focusing on the creation is just going to let it be us developing things that I'm confident we're not going to build the right thing until we've seen it. All I'm confident on is that this is the minimum we need. Like what I'm saying is we could ship this, and for better or worse, it would be fine. Like that second one, you know what I mean? Even if in November that was the only thing available in editing in the UI, it would be acceptable. Is kind of what I'm getting at.
No, I agree that, and this will be there for the advanced user to do some small tweaks.
Well, it'll always be there. But what I'm saying is it literally is valid to be the only option as well.
Yeah.
But this part is much more important. Like understanding the workspace kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
You guys understand my reasoning, right? Because I think that people need to see the UI to do the actions. And if they are seeing the UIs, they want to do visual stuff. Otherwise, they go in the kubectl to do bunk loads directly. But as advanced is okay. It's more than okay.
I do think that long term, I think most users long term are going to use automation to do stuff. But yeah, like not the CLI.
I think the redirects will be via UI, right? Even
other than redirects, other than redirects.
Yeah, and Kyle, thank you so much. I'm sorry for you to take too long on this call, Kyle, and welcome. This is us.
I think he dropped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle is from the UX team. That is helping a lot with the UX, and you are starting to be engaged just with this project.
But yeah, this is a good example of what we need to be very careful about, not designing things before we have users. Like, that we need to get the minimum thing out there that enables a user that we know exists.
Okay.
Not trying to solution for users that we don't know yet, right?
Yeah, Matthew. The part is that Kyle can interview users and explain to
which users. We don't have any users.
No, users for Notebook 1.0.
Okay, sure, but like, yeah, it's a bit different, and I think you have to. There's a lot of explanation that has to take place.
No, but he can do that. Yeah.
Getting something out there is the first step to having users of the new one, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so we have really gone way off the rails here.
Yeah, I have to go. Otherwise, I'm not lunch.
So what, is there anything blocking? So I just do want to quickly go through, I don't want to go through these, but I'm so sorry, everyone. First off, does anyone have anything in their mind that needs to be addressed right now before we just quickly confirm each of the epics aren't being blocked? Because, you know.
I have one other thing, Matthew.
I have to go, guys.
Yep, that's fine. Thank you. Front end serving. So right now we start the UI just like locally dev mode, start dev, and that does uses the Webpack executable to serve the UI. I have someone looking into like containerizing this, but then like the question is like, what do we want to actually use to serve these assets? If you have any opinions or thoughts or anything in that regard.
I'm not a front-end person. You could use whatever you like.
But pulling in and actually having in container Nginx serve stuff up, would that like make you cringe if you saw that? I mean, I'm just trying to.
I mean, you need to serve it. Well, presumably you've already got the ability. Like, what are we using? We're using.
I I mean, we're using Node, but like Webpack just piles things into assets, right? So it's like,
which is correct.
there's
That's how you need to serve
right.
that, right? So the way we did it on the other one was on Notebooks 1.0 was just I'm trying to remember exactly what we did. Who keeps merging things in this one? Who merged this? It's like they disagree. Sorry, I'm just like, the dashboard code is meant to not be in this repo, and now someone's made a commit that will need to be cherry picked into the other, whatever. Oh my God. Okay. I swear. So yeah, what we're doing right now is CRUD Web Apps, Jupyter. It runs, that's back end, front end. Where is the Docker file with this one?
So I got this far and then got lost
Yeah, I'm trying to
out.
remember where this one is. It's maybe it is actually under the one I was in first. My brain was. Energy generate. Okay, so wait, where is it under? It's under. Oh my God, I can't. I think that the make files might do some stuff automatically, but let me just confirm. Yeah, I think this is it. Sorry, this is actually correct. It's the backend lives in the same container in this workflow. That's why.
Okay, gotcha.
So this is just running Node, and then it's running npm build, and then it is running Gunicorn to serve it. It looks like. Okay.
So are you comfortable with us pulling that forward?
I don't know if that's the greatest way to do it. I think the front end people should have their own discussions. I'm not across that's a Python library. I don't think we should use Python, right? Isn't Gunicorn Python?
Right. I think so, yes.
Yeah, let's not use that, I think. But let's use anything. We could use a Go based thing if we really want to do Go stuff. We could use like Go will be a lot faster, but it would be harder for the front end people to contribute.
Front end people, I know that's where. Yeah, so I feel like something in Node or
I think a
Nginx is still
JavaScript
hard.
thing. Yeah, like
a JavaScript based solution. There's like I know.
Yeah. Like, because this is using Python, right? So like it's
right. That felt weird. So okay, I mean, we can talk about it more on PR. I just wanted to get something.
I think it will already
initially.
be there. Like, to be clear, your library, you're using a Red Hat library. It will have some kind of way to serve it in the same way that we're already doing that for local.
Well, I mean, today it's serving through Webpack today in dev mode, which feels wrong to actually do that in the Docker image for production.
But what's actually
there is no
you're using Webpack dev serve. Yeah, that's wrong. Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yes, and then there is no like start prod option here, which is why I want to just have a quick level set before. Like, there's just nothing in the code that gave me an indication of.
Well, let's just confirm what model registry is doing, because they have a UI.
Well, model registry is weird because the front end is packaged with the back end, so they're using that back end BFF API server to serve the assets. But we had said we want front end and back end
with a
to be
Go
separate
code
components. Yeah.
With Go, are they using a Go library to do it? With are they using Go's HTTP
right? Well,
library?
because it's the back end's written in Go, so then like it's serving through. They're bundling front end and back end in one container, and then the back end serves the front end. So that like I couldn't really rely on that.
We need to be separate in our case because we're going to let users make their own front ends. But yes.
So I'm fine with this changes. I think just like you said, making it familiar with front ends. Let's just serve it with some like stock industry standard JavaScript thing. And then if we decide we don't like that, it can come up on the PR review. I just didn't want to use like the wrong language, or if you felt opinionated, I just wanted to cut out that feedback cycle. So we can do this investigation and then review it and then pull you in when we feel good about it. So
yeah, dev server is problematic.
Right.
Is there a prod version of Webpack?
I don't know. Well, so keep it in the Node.js family is the answer, and let us do. You know what I mean? You don't need to Google search on that. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Set up.
Specify mode.
So you need to minify. You do need something that minifies 100%.
Right. Yes.
This is just like creating the output. This is still not
Serving, right? Yeah.
to be clear, I think other parts of Kubeflow might use Webpack and just do the dev server, by the way. I think pipelines might even be doing that.
Interesting.
It's not great, but it does work. But it's problematic for security reasons, but it's oh, grunt is also a thing as well. Yeah, I forgot about that. But then anyway, choose what you want to do.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, there's a Webpack production mode. Wait a hot minute.
But I wonder if that's just built, like, is that serving?
Yeah, I think it can. I just because you can just set production, right? But is it just creating the Webpack though,
It's
right?
only talking about minimization there, which makes me feel like it's just doing a production build.
Yeah. I mean, all
to
we need is
generate-
just like all we need is like Apache or Nginx or like just some web server, right? But like it's
Okay, it'll be Nginx, or if we find something that seems to be like good.
I'd say
in the
Nginx is
JavaScript-
probably the most logical place to start, right?
Okay, we will start there. Thank you. That was
like that's by far the most popular, so it's
yes.
probably
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Like
That
I
was
think
the-
99.9, and again, if that doesn't scale, it's pretty easy to rip it out and replace it with something that's
Yes,
Go
because that'll just be, yeah, I mean, it's just layered on the
Nginx
front
is
end.
C though, right?
Oh, I probably, yeah.
It's C, yeah. So it'll be fast enough. I think it'll be fast
Yes.
enough, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. Those were the pressing things.
Okay,
that
I'm so
I
sorry
wanted
everyone else that we have run over here.
One more, if anyone else wants to come in, just raise your hand and interrupt me. Could I will record a video, Matthew. I wanted to get a couple new labels around some of this epic task feature stuff with like automation. So I'll just like Slack you a recorded video off of a private repo I have like sometime before the end of this week to get thoughts on. We don't need to stay on the call to do it, but I was hoping to get a couple other labels added to our
I also
repo.
need to start reviewing backend stuff and getting stuff merged in. Although there is seemingly actually more discussion than okay. I've got some questions as to what all this is, but that's not our one, but it's that's the Kubeflow dashboard. Kubeflow. So like, other than the ones we talked about last time, is there anything more pressing now than there was before?
No, it's same. I would say nothing's jumped
So
the line.
I also do think we need to get the testing stuff figured out as well, but that's like you know this I'm putting way too much on you right now. But I hope you're okay with that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no, I'll let you know. No, it is all good. This is fun stuff.
what I'm saying is we need to duplicate. We need to be getting it so that you have a pair other than me.
Yes.
Like that's so. Is there someone internally at Red Hat, or should we be connecting and asking for other community members to come in?
Well, I guess some of it's kind of tricky though, right? Because a lot for like net new stuff, it's like, you know, I feel like, you know, yes, we're part of a community, but like you have a lot of opinion. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm struggling
I'm
with
hopeful
right now,
that
too.
my goal is to make you guys have the same opinions that I would have eventually. You know what I mean? That's my
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we will converge there, but it's like still just, you know what I mean? It's like getting to that shared mind
because I
state.
want you. So the goal is that you can also, again, I want to impart my vision onto you, so that you
Yes.
start coming to the same conclusions that I do, and that if we ever don't know, then we just have a discussion and then you do it. So like, I want to get you to the point where you can approve backend. You know what I mean? At least.
Yeah. And I think we are making headway there, right? But just as some of these, you know, just to, like some of these conversations we had today were great because it gets a, you know, better sense.
But this
of,
is like
you know,
front end, right? And I think really we have got a little bit derailed. Like this sort of discussion shouldn't have taken place like this. Like this, we should not have allowed ourselves to get derailed into a discussion about a specific thing. Although the thing we should have agreed though is that when we come to a new thing, we start with this, because like this discussion
Yes.
would have just fallen
That
out.
was-
It would have
yes,
fallen out
that
of this.
was,
Yeah.
yes, agreed.
Because we haven't even finished the current short-term goal. You know what I mean? Like it's like there are parts here that are not finished. You know.
Correct.
Like, so why are we even talking about some of this stuff? You know what I mean? Like it's it's like, I get that we have people doing things, but like, yeah, okay. I should have today to work on things, but then every time customers keep talking to me, and it's like I can't not help people who are paying me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's my problem, and so hopefully we'll get more formalized. This is why I'm trying to multiply myself. You know what I mean? That's my that's my goal.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
no, but yeah,
yeah.
in general, the stuff we talked about, and I think it's linked here, and I even linked down in my update. If you look, the exclamation points are wherever my daily update is. I put exclamation points by the 3 need review merged. Oh yeah, and that too. But yeah, so like I said, ultimately, I think we're I think we're good. I am learning a lot, and I feel like I'm getting your sense.
You should be invited here anyway. Let's. This is you, right?
Yes.
I can't approve this, but I need you on here anyway because this is crazy not to have you. So has been a lot to Notebooks 2.0 and the migration of code to Kubeflow dashboard. It will be great to have him as a okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then at Terry is in your company, so he'll can you please approve? I can't even tag you because you know what I mean. It's like, is also from Red Hat. Yeah.
Awesome.
You can follow up with him to get a mesh.
Yeah, no, I will. Okay, so this is great. So, the list of PRs you're aware of as your time allows, that's good. I have some ideas to start specking out APIs. I will write some stuff up.
So you've made some PRs though, right? So like, are there any that I need to review as in addition to the ones we had previously, or are they not ready yet?
No, I'd say some of these other ones I need to do reviews today and tomorrow too because I've been on other stuff. So I'd say the stuff that we've talked about is this like that you're already aware of is what you're ready on. These newer ones that came in, I'm going to be taking a pass over. So probably by the time we have next week, I'll feel good about another 3 or 4 that we say these are good.
Because we had this test, right? That was interesting.
Oh, yeah, I slacked you. I did rework that. The start stop API PR is one of the ones I have tagged. So I did get that reworked. It looks really nice. The only quote unquote problem, one of the conditionals we had is state does in order to pause a workspace, state does not equal pause. The JSON patch spec only does strict equality checks. So you can't do not equal to a state. It has to be equal to some, you know what I mean? Like specific. But I called that out in the commit message.
Yeah, I think probably we will need to have a conditional check for pausing. It's pretty straightforward, but because we were only doing this just because we didn't want to.
It was we didn't want the get right race condition or invalid or people spamming stuff and it getting into the back end to just create noise, right? So in order to pause, the spec.pause has to be false. In order
but that's
to
fine.
start,
but starting is the more problem.
State, yeah. So you can absolutely status.state has to be set to pause, and spec.paused has to be true, and you can do that. That works beautifully. I actually got to clean up some code, like we discussed.
That's what I was expecting.
It is annoying. I had to create a new struct to build that object. But everything works beautifully. All this it's just much better code than the first. So I got all in there, tested. I'm still having Harshad or Eder give it a pass, but I feel really good at. Harshad said he'd do his round of review today on that.
Yeah. So let me just confirm I'm not missing a meeting.
Oh yeah, you can. Like I said, I feel good about stuff. Like I said, I'll have a few other things queued up. Probably like 5-minute videos to show some workflow on the GitHub actions that we talked about, templates as well as the start stop. I have those reworked off of the ad hoc discussion we had last week, but I'll do some video recordings so it's easy for you to see that, and then we can discuss if PRs need rework.
While we're here, by the way, Jenny seems to still be in the meeting. Have you got anything you wanted to say? Is there any reason you're still here? Oh,
Might have just forgot to leave. Oh,
I think I maybe, oh, can you hear me now?
yes.
yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. I think I was unmuted, but it wasn't working. Yeah, no, I think I just wanted to give a quick stand-up update, but it sounds
do
like
do it if you want us to be the only ones who hear it. But yeah,
yeah, I don't think anyone's here to hear it, but yeah, I guess just yeah, I got some UX enhancements merged and continuing to work on that there and working with design and UX there to align on the development feedback and pattern fly best practices. And then yeah, as always, like let me know if there's anything else. Yeah, currently working on the workspace list column header visibility. I know we talked about that last time, Matt. So yeah, there's going to be a PR up for that soon. That's going to kind of consolidate or remove some of those extra columns and put the rest of them in that expandable section, which is going to be
and
good
adding a GPU one maybe or something. Yeah. But
was there a memory one? Maybe that's I think
there's like
a memory
CPU, yeah, it's hard to
CPU
know.
and memory utilization. GPU's weirder right now just because it's not as. We might want to talk about GPU more because I'm not sure how to populate it right now.
Yeah, that's that is the main issue. It's like because I feel like people are gonna want to see. I personally think GPU power draw is what I would want to see, but who knows? But that's longer term. I just because again, if it's something that we need to make sure that Kubernetes itself changes, we need to it takes like 6-12 months for things to come into upstream. You know what I mean? So like, who knows? But anyway, like. Yeah, that's aside the point. Yeah, so the thing, my only feedback for you, Jenny, is making sure that when we're doing the front end design stuff, that we have, we kind of think about how we do a tight loop for the users. We don't have any users right now, but like, how do we, like, and obviously the first step to getting users is getting something out there, right? But how do we make sure that like we get the minimum thing out there and then like have a, how do we, we obviously are going to make our own decisions, but that's as I feel like someone like you or other people who are involved would like making sure that we don't spiral into designing things that we don't need to yet. That's my only.
That makes sense. Yeah, I guess that was sort of kind of a question that we had too. I think we just want to verify maybe with you on like how like the current appearance, and because I guess we don't have too much context on like how users are going to be using these yet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's more like what's the minimum that they need to, like for an admin, I think it's pretty clear what the minimum is, but, and then there's nice to have things, but it's like, that's what should be informed by these like stories, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, what is the goal of the current stories? Because the goal is just to get to a point where in November, people can install it and start using it in some capacity, and then you never know what you're building is right until someone actually is willing to use it. And I don't like some of the improvements to the UI are great, and we need to do things, but like it's like almost anything we do will be better than the current state. You know what I mean? That as long as we get it shipped. But,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think that table right now has like 13 or 14 columns. So I think, yeah, if we want to, we definitely want to remove some of those. And then I think that sounds like a good like longer term stretch goal to kind of adapt based on how users are
and thinking about how we can make that loop happen. That's kind of the part where I'm trying to get my head around.
Yeah.
Like that's something to facilitate on your end, maybe, and help. Like we can like have a place where people can like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how they get compensated for their time, but like, it'll just give.
Well, so even like internal to Red Hat now, we need to get stuff containerized and running as workloads, but I'd have a few people reached out because we want to start hosting something that's like every week, just update the code just so like Red Hat stakeholders can see stuff. But, designers and a few other people were very interested just to like start to, kind of understand this new working model. So, I mean, not to say we don't want to overfit to Red Hat, but I mean, just as a proxy of getting people that aren't on this call using it and asking questions and pushing is, valuable feedback unto itself.
And so, yeah, so that comes back to like what we actually need to be focusing on is getting it usable in a Kubernetes cluster
Yes.
as soon as possible in some form. People will start using it, and that will cause us a lot of problems with bugs and other things. But if we're very, very clear that this is a pre-release, pre-alpha,
Right.
make it a little bit friction-y to do. Maybe we don't publish Docker image. Well, maybe you have to do something manual just to make it so that we remove most people. And then it's just
Right.
like, even if it's just you and I playing around with it, messing around with it, deploying it on random clusters, like it's, and that requires some stuff to be done, like quite a bit of stuff to be done.
Right.
So
Yes.
I don't expect we'd have that done in the next 2 months, but maybe after that,
Start, yeah, but like laying the groundwork so that, what I mean? Yeah, like just debate, like, today, how do we actually want to serve this stuff? Let's like get all these like foundational questions out of the way to focus on like a real story.
I mean, at worst, we can just use Istio, but like, and we will use Istio, but like,
yes,
but, like we can effectively just hard code in Istio again. You know what I mean? But it's just like,
yes.
yeah. Okay. Anyway, thanks, Jenny. You don't need to be here if you don't want to be, but you can stay if you want. I'm gonna. Is there anything else you want to talk about on the recording, Andy, or before you drop off?
No, I'm good from a recording standpoint. Thank you.
Cool.